On May 20th, boxing fans will be treated to another highly anticipated matchup this year, as Devin "The Dream" Haney and Vasyl Lomachenko "The Matrix" enter the ring for all the marbles, the undisputed lightweight championship. Haney is coming off 2 impressive victories by going down under to Australia twice to face Kambosos Jr., becoming undisputed champion and defending all those titles again, with 2 dominating boxing displays. His once label of being the email champ is certainly starting to fade. However, this time he will be facing his biggest test to date against the former #1 rated pound for pound star, who once again has the opportunity to make his dream come true of becoming an undisputed champion, especially after building himself back up after his shock defeat to Teofimo Lopez. But Haney will of course be no easy task, and the Dream Devin Haney will need to create a nightmare of problems if he wishes to defeat Lomachenko in convincing fashion. So on that note, let's take a closer look at these 2 exceptional technicians and what tactics and game plan they'll need to be the undisputed king. After his incredible run to become the quickest 3-weight world champion, it looked like nothing could stop Loma. However, the defeat to Teofimo Lopez in 2020 was a big wake-up call that he can't afford to be too passive in the early rounds against bigger men or punchers. He did start to put on the pressure against Lopez towards the end of the fight. However, by that point, it wasn't enough to get the decision. After getting his shoulder surgery, there can't be any more excuses going forward, and in his fights against Nakatani and Komi, he really proved he can mix it with so-called bigger men. However, going off his last performance against Ortiz, who does deserve some credit for his performance, was able to once again keep Lomachenko at bay and keep him hesitant at times. But you also need to keep in mind this was his first fight since coming back from the conflict in Ukraine, and there was always going to be some rust to shake off. In the case against Haney, Loma will need to do what he does best, by applying pressure early. Loma will usually take the opening rounds to see how his opponents will react to his movements, and he'll once again in this fight need to get past the opponent's longer reach. To do this, he'll need to use lots of feints with his own lead hand, upper body movement and guard changes to get past, but also to disrupt the rhythm of Haney's lead hand, which of course is his best weapon. However, he can use this against him, as Loma usually looks to time and counter opponents' jabs or those that keep the lead hand out for too long.
Good round of action here. Round 2, and Loma had him hurt!
And this was evident when Haney was against the southpaw Jojo Diaz, who would all too often get countered by pawing out his jab for too long, or even getting caught out with the left hand.
Cruise control and just go, he's fighting!
Loma is well known for creating angles, especially getting on the outside position off the centre line or from a blind angle, usually by using the lead hand as a distraction before pivoting or sidestepping into the outside angle before throwing in volume when he's in range. If the opportunity presents itself, he needs to get off as many shots as possible here, and due to the positional advantage, he usually does get a lot of punches off. Haney though is known for clenching and tying up his opponents and trying to stop them getting to work, and although he's the bigger man come fight night, I suspect Loma's tactics will be to look to be active on the inside if this happens, by quickly trying to pull away before setting up a left hook.
Oh, big left hand!
While showing as well he's the more aggressor in the fight to the judges. And this is something we've seen in his most recent fights versus Komi, Nakatani and Ortiz.
He's right in the kitchen against Nakatani!
As being the shorter man, he needs to take his opportunities when up close, and Haney can't afford to be complacent in this area, or Loma will land a devastating blow. Lomachenko, in my opinion as well, is one of the best body punchers in the sport, and for me this is another area to exploit Devin, and he'll need to target the body to slow him down and try take away his movement, so of course he can set up his shots later in the fight. And the constant variation of Loma's lead hand will no doubt see him create opportunities to land consistently up top later in the fight. The obvious factor is Loma being the southpaw, and versus an orthodox fighter like Haney is always going to try get the positional advantage before firing his straight left or left hook to the body, either if the opponent's moving out to his left or at close range. Overall, Lomachenko will need to use a combination of all these tactics to beat Haney, but by using his pressure, movement and willingness to take a punch to land a combination himself, could be the difference in him getting positional advantage or not. While obviously targeting the body and looking to work on the inside could be a difference. However, we've seen with the likes of Ortiz and even Teofimo Lopez, at times size and reach and movement can cause him to be frustrated and tentative. And against one of the best young stars, who is bigger and has a greater ring IQ than most of his opponents to date, will be a huge challenge for Loma. Now before I get on to Devin Haney, I just want to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Boxing Showtimes. Now there's been so many fights on recently and it's been really hard to keep track of what fight is coming up in the fight schedule. However, this free app will sort out all your problems as it gives you all the pre-fight information you need, including things like the undercard, pre-fight videos, where to buy tickets, or even watching your local sports bar. This app is on iOS and Android and is completely free, guys. Go check out Boxing Showtimes in the description below or in the pinned comment. And on that note, let's get back into part 2. In a way, it's not been an easy ride for Devin Haney in his dream so far, especially ever since he got the WBC belt in 2019, as Vasyl Lomachenko was named the franchise champion, which led to many fans labelling him as that famous email champ. However, his two convincing displays over Kambosos, people are starting to quieten this after becoming undisputed outright, and now has the opportunity to shut up the haters by defeating Lomachenko. And there's no question this on paper will be his toughest and biggest fight to date. There are obviously a couple of questions around Haney going into this fight, as he's said to be struggling to make the 135-pound limit, and you just need to look at him at the weigh-in in his second fight versus Kambosos, where he did not look the greatest. However, despite this, he was still able to put on a boxing clinic, and it'll be interesting to see if the weight cut will still be an issue going into this fight. While many have claimed he also has pillow hands, and it does beg the question whether it will be able to stop or keep the Loma assault at bay. By no means am I saying he's lacking the technical ability or anything of that nature, but the lack of a knockout threat could see him have to deal with Loma up in the inside at times in this fight. Haney, of course, is most comfortable boxing on the outside using his jab to keep the opponent at the end of his punches, while also looking to counter and use quick combinations. However, with the movement of Lomachenko, he'll need to have a very disciplined game plan. First up will obviously be his jab. He'll need to occupy Loma's lead from a distance to offset his own rhythm. A great example of this game plan was Teofimo Lopez, who was really able to occupy the guard of high tech for most of the fight by jabbing to the target of the lead hand, and any moment of hesitation or Loma going back in straight lines was an opportunity to target the body of Loma to discourage him further. He will be going into this fight with an even greater reach advantage of 71 inches compared to Loma's 65.5, and most, if not all opponents, have struggled to get past Haney's jab at one point in the fight. However, he has to be more aggressive in this fight versus Lomachenko and make sure to follow up with the right hand up top or to the body while getting positional advantage himself and force Loma to continually reset himself. Nevertheless, if Loma feels Haney's pillow hands live up to reality, he needs to be prepared for the assault. As Loma tries to gain positional advantage with angles and front foot aggression, Haney needs to be ready to pivot and turn with him, while this also presents an opportunity for Haney to counterpunch with the right straight or right uppercut. In the Jojo Diaz fight, he also did a terrific job in terms of throwing the right hand in order to set up the left hook, which could make Loma hesitant to take the outside angle. However, he can't overuse this with Loma, who of course will eventually look to counter him with his own left hand. The other great opportunity I think Haney has is to use the check or counter left hook. If Loma is committing himself looking to throw his own 1-2 or the lead hand, this is a brilliant opportunity for Haney to land this hook over the top, which he does land often. And finally, I think he needs to use the physical size to his advantage. It's clear Haney is the much bigger man going into this, but he's not a forward front foot aggressive fighter for the most part. He likes boxing on the outside, and when opponents come forward to try take him on, he does look to tie up his opponent on the inside. However, as I discussed with Loma earlier, he has to be just as aggressive in the clinch and never too passive. And I think he needs to put his head on the left shoulder of Lomachenko to avoid that left hand, while looking to underhook his arms to stop him from getting to work on the inside. And as much as I hate fighters constantly clenching, he might just need to do this to stop Lomachenko. This fight has all the potential to be a very technical encounter and has been labelled as a chess match by ESPN. There are clearly areas both men can exploit off each other, and I think it will come down to whether Haney's size and ability to keep Lomachenko at bay with his reach in the first half of the fight will play a factor. Lomachenko will of course be looking to close the distance, create angles and unleash his explosive combinations, and he can't make the mistake he made in the Teofimo Lopez fight of trying to take him to deep waters, and I believe he'll need to start fast and early and get wet sooner in this fight if he wishes to win. So will it be Haney's youth, size and reach that will prove too much for Lomachenko to handle, or will we see the Ukrainian's experience and skill be too much for Haney to overcome? One thing is for sure, the winner of this matchup will be seen as the best in the lightweight division. All will be revealed very soon. This has been Jamie from Boxing Life. I hope you enjoyed this tactical overview. Make sure to let me know in the comments below what you guys think the outcome will be. I'd love to know. As always guys, thanks so much for watching. Enjoy the fight when it comes, and I'll see you in the next one.